Will Sacramento's plan to house more homeless make it a big push or maybe a shove forward this November? The Sacramento City Council voted Wednesday to approve a new homeless ballot measure. Here's what it does and why it's controversial. The Sacramento City Council voted 7-2 Wednesday to approve a new ballot measure aimed at taking on the homeless crisis. It's known as the Emergency Homeless Shelter and Enforcement Act. It would namely do two things. One, it would require the city to create more shelter beds and safe spaces by certain dates. And two, it would provide more tools and legal cover for removing the unhoused from public property.
As a whole, I was against it largely because of the enforcement piece, that further criminalizing folks for living unhoused.
Angela Hassell is the executive director at Loaves and Fishes in Sacramento and works with the unhoused daily. She knows the ballot measure was championed by a group of local business leaders and that many Sacramentans have simply run out of patience.
There's definitely a push-pull there, right? Everybody, I think, from the business community to private citizens to folks that work in homeless services, we all want to see an end to homelessness.
The ballot measure voted on Wednesday would require the city to create shelter for 60% of its homeless population in 20% increments. The first deadline coming 75 days after the measure is approved. The ballot initiative was a response to another version of the measure that was gaining signatures and that would have required shelter for 75% of the homeless population within just 60 days of passing. And yet, the Sacramento City Council adopted the so-called Comprehensive Siting Plan last August, identifying 20 sites for homeless shelter throughout the city and dedicating $100 million to make it happen. I asked Hassell what happened to that.
This definitely accelerates that process, and it almost appears to kind of push that aside and say, we're going to go this way instead.
Jay Schneider is the council member for District 5. He voted to approve the ballot measure, though he did acknowledge it seemed a bit rushed.
It would have been nice, I think, to have a little bit more time, but on the other hand, I'm not sure anything would have been different. This is something we've known about for a long time. We've certainly had discussions about homelessness over the last number of years.
I also asked him about how this relates to the Comprehensive Siting Plan approved in 2021, but since then, we haven't heard much about.
I think it actually brings that plan back into the forefront. We're going to need those spaces and those sites to be able to fulfill the requirements of the initiative, assuming that it passes.
One aspect of the new ballot measure is it will make it illegal to live in public spaces. It changes the definition of encampment in city code to 4 or more unrelated people camping within 50 feet of each other on public property. This would provide more tools to law enforcement where their hands are currently tied. I asked Councilmember Schneider about this as well.
I think that's a piece of it, but again, on the other side, we can't do that unless we're having spaces for people to go. So it really puts the onus on the city and hopefully the county as well to create more spaces for people to be.
And since that measure was approved by the Sacramento City Council, voters will have a chance to weigh in on it in November.